Kelly, are you a ninja guy?
I'm a golf ninja guy.
Well, obviously that's the most important aspect of martial arts to learn. I was getting at more though before we even get to the topic at hand, which we've already hinted at. What's your favorite ninja movie?
Um, hmm, uh, Gosh, I can't remember. Three Ninjas? Was that what it was called? Yeah, I think Three Ninjas. I'm gonna go with that.
It's a solid choice. It's a solid choice.
Yeah, I think I owe you something for the Ewok adventure stuff that you throw out all the time.
Mine is Ninja 3, The Domination, which I recommend highly that anybody watching this goes and checks out the movie. Before you're like, oh, I didn't see Ninja 1 and 2. How will I be able to follow it? There is no Ninja 1 and 2. So don't worry about it. That's not like an ironic thing either. It's just that the producers had made two other completely unrelated movies about ninjas and therefore felt like they were the final word on ninja movies and it was like a brand for them. So they were just letting you know this is their third ninja movie, but the movies are unrelated. So it's just confusing. But the movie is ridiculous. But one of my favorite things is in the early scenes of the movie, there is an extended action set piece at a golf course.
There you go.
and it's I saw this movie when I was a kid, completely fascinated me. And somehow for years I didn't know there was a ninja golf game. Somehow didn't know this existed. In fact, it wasn't until I got the Evercade and Ninja Golf came on one of those collections that I played Ninja Golf for the first time, was immediately transported back to watching Ninja 3, The Domination as a kid. Absolutely loved it. And today's episode of Bog Panda, we're going to get to talk a little bit of Ninja Golf. And I just snuck in a movie recommendation because that's the kind of quality you guys get here from me, Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything, and the man who's always joining me.
Hi everybody, I'm Kelly at KELLYTHUL on social media. As Mike mentioned, we're here to serve all kinds of great content all the time. Open 7 by 24. So you probably should subscribe and hit that bell to know when new content goes out. Then rest up, and then go to the Hard No playlist on Bog Panda, and you'll be listening to the world's shortest podcast. And won't your friends be jealous? So check out that Hard No, the world's shortest podcast. And then when you're done with that, your friends already are jealous. They're probably hating you a little bit. You need to finish the job. Why don't you? The way to finish that job is walk around wearing some fine Bog Panda merchandise. Available in a link in our description. So check it out.
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about Atari 7800 games since this is a borderline Atari channel at this point. We talk about it quite a bit. As you guys know, the 2600 Plus is out, which allows you to play original Atari 2600 games and 7800 games, most of them anyway. There are a few games apparently that aren't completely compatible with it. That's because of the nature of the system itself. It is emulation, even though you're playing with cartridges. What it does when you turn it on is it dumps the ROM from the cartridge into the emulator. So there's just occasional games that don't emulate properly with the emulator that's built into it. But from what I've seen, very few games it seems like people have issues with, and I've seen a few channels where they've said that, if you just turn it on and off a couple of times, it'll still manage to grab the ROM on most of those. So, not ideal doing it that way, but considering if you don't have an original Atari 2600 and you want to play with cartridges, it's a great option, obviously. I've been tempted by this machine quite a bit, including very recently because I have come into a bunch of credit on Amazon for some items that I've returned. And I was like, I'm going to get the Atari 2600 Plus. Then I realized a better investment would probably be a Retron because I have some random cartridges from various systems, including a shelf of Mortal Kombat for every system. And I could play all of those on a Retron. So it does make more sense. And again, as we discussed on this before, I have all of these games on multiple devices. So as cool as I do think it is, it's still not quite enough to to make me pull the trigger on that. Um, but they've added one more cool layer to it now, which is in addition to the new 2600 cartridges they've been putting out, which are mostly just collections of older games, and a couple of official Atari licensed new games for it as well got their own cartridges. They're going to reissue some 7800 cartridges for this thing, including my personal favorite, Ninja Golf. And Ninja Golf is genuinely, I think, one of the greatest games of all time, just because it's so weird and ridiculous, but slightly less weird to me than some other people because I saw Ninja 3 The Domination. Um, Although this is more ninjas and Caddyshack. What were your thoughts seeing the 7800 cartridges being reissued, sir?
Well, and we have talked about the 2600 plus on the show, and then because I do have an OG 2600, I was like, I don't have any 7800 cartridges, and I got something I can play my 2600. So it's like this is probably not a go for me. Uh, but then uh, re-releases coming out, so you don't have to go buy them used and roll the dice a little bit on the condition of the cartridge for three pretty good games. Ninja Golf, big fan of as well. That's good. I'm also a big fan of Food Fight, which is a another cartridge they're doing. And then Fatal Run is the last one. So two super excellent games. Fatal Run's good. It's not quite in the rarefied air of golf Ninja Golf, but it's still pretty good. So and at around a 30 to 35 buck price point for a cartridge, it's not bad. So that at least warmed me again to go maybe at some point, because I do want to, outside of being an Atari token baron, I do want to kind of just slather my house in Atari gear all over. And so 2600 plus, I don't have the plus on my 2600, so there I could add and do that. But still probably not ready to do it. But I think it's excellent that they're doing it. The one um, challenge I see with it, and this is happening on a couple of things, um, is you're not getting a manual. And manuals are important. Been picking up a lot of used Nintendo 64 games lately, and including Paperboy, which I continue to really enjoy. But I think there are some elements of Paperboy that I'd be a little bit better at if I had a manual, although it's got some decent in-menu kind of guidance things to help you in kind of a training area. But I still think the manuals would be nice, which if we're going through the process of packaging it, getting a new box for it, fabbing out the cartridge, getting that done, I think a manual is it's only gonna be a couple pages of paper that you're gonna fold over and staple and get in there. I would think it wouldn't be that cost prohibitive to do it. But what were your thoughts of it not having manuals with these?
Yeah, the not having manuals is a little bit weird. And I am with Kelly on this because, so interestingly, knowing that the Retron is coming now, I purchased a cartridge of a game that I remember hating when I initially played it as a kid because nobody had a manual when I was playing. And that's Jaws from the NES. That's a game that had a bad reputation, I think, for a long time. And I do think it's one of those games that people have come around to on the internet now. You'll see a lot more positive reviews of it. And if anything, people now complain that it's too short and too easy. But I remember as a kid, myself and many of my friends who played it absolutely hating the game, it not making any kind of sense, and it just having no idea of what to do once you were in the game. And it's because most of us rented the game and didn't have access to the manual. So we were just kind of dumped into this game that had a different mechanic than what we were used to and just had no idea what we were doing. And I remember playing it for hours and hours, determined to figure out how to play this game and getting absolutely nowhere. And now that I know how to play it, you can beat the game in about 20 minutes if you know what you're doing. So it's actually a really short, easy game. I just kind of like it, and now I have nostalgia for it as being a retro game. So with the Retron on the way, I was like, oh, I can pick up a cartridge of this pretty cheap. It's a fun game to play. It'll be fun to throw on and show my nephews or my niece. and to kind of show them like this is how we used to play with cartridges and put them in here. So I think it's gonna be a fun game to kind of play, and maybe we'll do a review of it at some point or work it into some sort of a summer special. Who knows? Something sitting by a pool playing Jaws. Who knows what could happen?
That needs to
So there
happen.
could be ways to work that in. So but it's a great example of sometimes manuals are really important. And I know that, some of these older games, 2600 and 7800 games, are pretty simple in their, depiction or the way that they're laid out. But again, Jaws is a super short game if you know how to play it. You just go back and forth between 2 points really in the game, collecting items until you've built up your stats enough RPG style to fight the actual shark. And it takes about 20 minutes to do it. It's an arcade style game, pretty straightforward. But if you didn't know what to do, you're totally lost and would spend hours just meandering around and getting killed. So I do think the instructions are really important. I don't understand how there's not even just because I can see like, printing things can get pricey. I don't know, like Kelly said though, if you're already manufacturing the cartridge and they come inside sleeves, like 8-track style sleeves within the outer box, so that's a lot of printing right there. So I don't understand how. I don't know they would add that much more to the cost of it doing the manuals, or just put a QR code on there that links to a digital manual somewhere.
Yeah, and most of the time you can find them digging around, but it's if you're not going to include it, just make it easy. Like you said, just give them a QR code or something so they don't have to dig and do that. And if you've already got the IP licensed, I don't see why you'd have any problem replicating the exact manual to do it. So, but you just need it out as a PDF somewhere, you could do that. But yeah, that's the only kind of downside of it. I think it's super cool. I think the price point's really fair. And it becomes, I think it helps make the case a little bit more at some point. Uh, if someone's looking at it, to say, well, not only that, but I can get re-releases of it. Now, I don't, to my understanding, they really didn't do anything to enhance the game. You see a lot of stuff now where they reimagined these types of things. This isn't that. This is just a straight replication of it. So, but it's new and steady used. So you won't have any kind of weird things maybe in memory on the card that you weren't anticipating. And it's just good to have a fresh copy. So I think it's really cool. Folks should check it out. We'd be interested in hearing from you. Would you be interested in picking some of these up? If you are, how are you going to play them? Do you have 7800? I can't imagine there are a lot of those around. Do you go the Retron route? Do you go Atari Plus?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see what comes in the future with this. I don't know if there's a lot of homebrew 7800 games out there or anything like that either. I haven't seen a lot of them, but I'll be honest, I'm still not ready to pull the trigger on the plus, but I probably will buy Ninja Golf because it'll look cool on a shelf.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be. It's a good game. So very deserving of it. So excellent. So anything else?
Nope, I think that's it, sir.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.